First and foremost, Taiwan is not a state.
Now, I wanted to move on to, again, still during the Shangri-La dialogue, we heard the French president, Macron, um, drawing some comparisons between Taiwan, the Taiwan question, and the conflict in Ukraine. Now, from your perspective, how do you feel about comparisons like this, particularly when they come from Western leaders? Um, how do they affect this balance of power or the pursuit of regional stability in the region?
First and foremost, my impression of Macron comments, especially trying to equate Ukraine to as vis-a-vis Taiwan or the Taiwan Strait. I think it's very insensitive as far as China is concerned. Macron is so insensitive coming from a president of a country and supposedly an educated and supposedly civilized country like France, So it's for me, it's very insensitive. It was a false equivalence, and I think strategically misleading, and it does not help in terms of trying to promote peace in the Taiwan Strait. And one thing though that I would say, there's a big difference between Taiwan and Ukraine. First and foremost, Taiwan is not a state. It is not a country. Ukraine is a country or a nation state. And also, when you talk about the conflict, but before I discuss that, when I say that Taiwan is not a state or it's not a country, it is anchored upon the One China policy. And as of June 2025, 181 countries or member states of the UN agree and actually uphold the One China policy. Imagine 181 out of 193 UN member states agree and uphold that Taiwan is a part of China, and also uphold the One China policy. And actually, it's based on UN Resolution 2758. And if you really look at it, this is even some kind of a consensus among countries in across the globe. That's 93%, of countries agreeing that Taiwan is part of China. So with that kind of framework or that kind of context, there's a big difference between Ukraine and Taiwan. Taiwan, again, is not a country. Ukraine is a state. It's a nation state. Now, when you talk about the issue, the Ukraine crisis, which is right now, as you can see, they're trying to have a peace, and Russia is trying to push for a peace talk and eventually a settlement of the conflict, the military conflict going on in Ukraine right now between Ukraine and Russia. And you can see the crisis. It's not really a crisis, but the internal problem of China with reference to Taiwan. The Ukraine crisis is an interstate. It's if you put it in an international relations perspective and discipline, this is an interstate conflict, meaning two countries are fighting. The Taiwan issue, the Taiwan political question, is an intrastate issue or condition or situation, precisely because this is an internal matter and a domestic matter of China, because Taiwan, again, is a part of China, and everyone in the world, especially members of the United Nations, agree and also uphold this One China policy. So that's the big difference. For a president like Macron to even say, Taiwan and Ukraine are quite the same, that's I just don't see it that a president would be insensitive enough, and it seems that he is not well informed about the difference between the two. And these are basic if you're a president of any country. You know what? Because you cannot say this in public, and especially with reference to China. It's a very insensitive
He's playing
thing
the
to do.
audience. He's playing to the audience. He's playing to the audience. He's trying to conflate both, but knowing very well that they're not. One of the things
Yeah,
that
that's the problem.
Arnaud Bertrand, one of the political commentators that I follow, he's French, and you follow him too. He was mentioning something extremely important when it comes to Taiwan. Those few countries that have relations with Taiwan or that recognize Taiwan, they don't really recognize Taiwan as such. They recognize the Republic of China. And
Mm.
they they basically have relations with the Republic of China. They think that the government that rules all of China
Is
is
the
the
Republic.
government in Taipei, but it's all one country. So having someone like
Mhm.
Macron trying to sell the idea that they're different, that they're two different entities, it's really, really sad to see from someone at that caliber and an event of this level. Everybody knows that is one China. The disagreement
Mhm.
is okay, which government is, and it's not even a disagreement. I misspoke just now, but the question is okay, who is the government that represents Taiwan? Is it Beijing or is it Taipei? Well, as you said, 93% say, well, it is actually Beijing. But the concept of one China, it's is not disputed. Everybody
Mm.
agrees with that. So
I
that's
think
about
so.
Macron.
Yeah,
We leave
and
him
and
to
I
deal
and
with
I
his
think
wife.
his statement is not helping when you talk about trying to stabilize the Taiwan Strait and also trying to promote peace in the Taiwan Strait. I think it fuels more kind of this separatist sentiment of some elements in Taiwan, which is not good, and it's not helping the so-called peaceful, supposedly in a matter of time, a peaceful reunification of Taiwan to its motherland, and all of this related issues. So I was very disappointed with Macron, given that he's a president of a country, and take note, a Western country at that, and France, and they pride themselves to be intellectuals. I lived in France for 1 year, so most of
Yeah,
most French people, they always pride themselves that they're intellectuals, the bastion of knowledge in Europe, also
sophisticated.
originated from France and all of these things. So I was like, what? That's the statement of Macron. Oh my
All right.
God.